Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and you're watching Glenda's Dragon's Den. Today, we have part two of the phenomenal story of all the experiences that Young, I always pronounce that Gray. I always pronounce it wrong, sorry. Um, he has had in his life, and just pay attention. If you missed part one, it's already recorded, it's already out. So please go look for it. Wherever you're seeing this, part one is there. So welcome back. How are you?
Doing fine, thanks. Thanks for having me on for part
Oh,
two.
thank you. Thank you. It's a very interesting uh, scenario of all of your experiences and how you have developed and grown to where you are now, which is, a very interesting, and it will show people that we could all have different experiences, but still basically arrived at the same place. Our awareness expands, our points of views may change, but we still arrive where we need to arrive for the betterment of humanity, basically. So let's hear more about you.
Well, to start off, I last time I didn't get into the reason why I opened up, why I started reaching out to people and wanted to do interviews, which took a couple of years though. But back in December of 2012,
Mm-hmm.
so this was prior to the the Mayan calendar thing, the end of the world, doom and gloom.
Mm-hmm.
We When I met my former fiance at the time, she got me into a lot of into meditating. So I would meditate for the planet, try to send in energy, positive energy, try to shift the timeline. And so after about a month of meditating, almost like half an hour prior to going to bed, um, I'd go to bed, I'd lie on my back, not expecting anything, and as soon as I close my eyes this time, I realized there's a black box behind my left eyelid. Like imagine like a projection being
Mm-hmm.
projected onto your like my left eye. And why I say my left, because I'd open my right eye and the black box was still there. I'd open my left eye, close the right, and the box would disappear. So is it like a hemisphere type of thing? For
Mm-hmm.
could be, but within that black box. So imagine a black and white TV,
Uh-huh.
and in that TV, I'm seeing the side view of an old typewriter, and somebody's typing on it. So, and the feeling I got from that was somebody wanted me to share my story. So, the next day I did that because my fiance at the time, when she would blog her stories, and she did a lot of positive work because of that,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of help, and so I did the same on the same site. And so that day after, I meditate again, go to bed, and instead of seeing a typewriter, I'm seeing two hands shaking on it. So that really brought me. So to me, that's like them telling me that I did good. So that would really put me on the path of reaching out to people.
Mm-hmm.
And funny because you were talking about how we how we evolve, and by doing this is I growing up, I never thought of myself as doing this. I'm shy. I'm an introvert. I rather listen to people than to talk. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
a good listener, and it shows. People do tell me that when they watch my podcast. And so one time I had Dr. Turi. I'm not sure if you know him, Dr. Louis Turi. He predicted. He's a French experiencer, reptilian experiencer, but he lives in the States. He did a show on, I think, with George Noory. He predicted the 2016 Trump election
Mm-hmm.
and a whole bunch of other stuff. So he's psychic, and he's like he does not horoscope, but anyhow, he reads the stars. So
Mm-hmm.
with your birth chart, he's able to tell you your life story. So Uh,
Astro-
he, he did. Sorry.
astrology.
Yeah, that's astrology. Yeah, I forgot that. That's
That's
and so he did mine prior to the show, and he drew a picture of me like down to the T, and I was amazed. I was amazed, and I barely gave him any information, and he said that uh, because of because of I was born in July. I'm a Leo, okay, but if you take back 6 months, I'd be like I'm in Aquarius or something like that. But Aquarius, I think their sign is somebody holding a vase. But he says I'm one to bring the information from the stars down to the people, and
mm,
I'm a leader. So even though I am an introvert, I've got my job set up for me. So I don't know. I found that really pretty amazing the way how he
mhm,
brought that to me because the guy's a pro. But just to uh, just to continue off with the story, back in May of 2013, I'd still continue meditating, and this is an experience that seems to be somewhat common with those I've been interviewing. It's a place of white, either with those that had NDEs or stuff like that. But one time, after falling asleep, and I realize I'm on the floor, but I'm not seeing my body. So
mm,
it's like your consciousness is on the floor. I look up and I realize I'm in this super long corridor. All is white, as white as can be. And I'm not seeing the right side, but I'm seeing the left side of the corridor. And you've got a whole bunch of white doors. Imagine like an asylum, small
mm,
doors, all one by one, or like a prison, but it's
mm,
hard to describe. But the doors went down the corridor, and I could see the end. And I look up again, and I'm in front of a tall gray wearing doctor's robes, hospital robes. It's no, yeah, a doctor's coat. And I lift. I don't remember seeing my hand, but I remember raising my hand and asking for help to get up. So I get up, and I'm 6 feet tall. So I look at the Gray's right in his face. So I assume he was at least 6 feet tall. And I don't remember seeing a nose or a mouth. That's how
mm,
non-prominent they were. They weren't really there. But what I realized was behind his head, I was seeing, imagine Einstein type of hair. Nothing on
uh,
top, but just at the back. So Einstein had a sort of unkept hair, back
yeah.
and that in the comics, that's how he was portrayed. So I saw that. So like unkept, very dense, spiky. So imagine somebody a gray that never combed his hair ever.
Mm,
So that's and the hair was very dense, not like the wispy type of white hair that we see on hybrids, but his hair was very dense, and I could never put a name on that. And I didn't feel any malevolence from him or
mhm,
good like anything good from him. I just asked him, "Hey, do you want to give me a tour?" And as soon as we start walking, I black out and I wake up in bed.
hmm,
Now remembering that wispy, not wispy hair, but the unkept hair, I could never put a name on it until I was on Misha Johnston's radio show, maybe 2 years ago, 2 3 years ago, and she started laughing when I started describing what I saw, and says, "Yan, what you're describing is what I call cotton candy hair. Hybrids have cotton candy hair."
mm,
So I thought, oh my God, that's an experience that actually happened. So, in what way was I presented to it, or did I go to it? I have no idea. But yeah, to have seen something while you don't really control what you dream,
no.
really, you don't. Um, but yeah, I saw something that was out of the ordinary in a white room, a white corridor. Could have been a screen image of sorts. Who knows? But yeah, that was something. So having all these like experiences throughout my life, I didn't understand why I was having these. If I were to live in the States, I might have had family within the military.
Mhm.
Um, and but here, growing up in Canada, the military is not as prominent or out there, let's say. But When I was with my fiance, um, I shared her the name of my grandmother's bloodline. Uh, Growing up, my grandmother would tell her daughter, my mother, that her family, her surname's Aylwin, Aylwin, and that it was an important one back in the day. But again, in my time, it was early 70s, 60s. We didn't have an internet. We didn't how to trace your bloodline really,
Right.
then other than like word of mouth. And so we knew it was an important one according to the oral tradition that was brought down, but we didn't know where it came from. So we assumed it was Irish because there was a lot of Irish immigrants in Canada until I met my fiance and I told her the name, and she says, "Oh, the Aylwins were nobles in England." And their name appears in the Doomsday Book, which is a sort of census type of book
Mm-hmm.
of the like the first census book of
Right.
England. Imagine
Right.
that. And the let me see. I got some notes here. The Aylwins, okay, held a family seat as lords of the manor of Aylwington in Devon. The manor was later called Aylwington. Devon is situated directly east of Cornwall, where Cornwall is associated with all the Arthurian legends. Although many surnames claim Old English status, the name Aylwin is in its origins genuinely traditional Old English and became a Saxon surname. Predating written English history, the name Aylwin is thought to have survived from the time of the ancient Britons, well before the invasion of the first Romans. Very few people had surnames prior to 1250, and the oldest derivative of Aylwin is Elfwine. So the Aylwin bloodline, like the word Elven the
Mm-hmm.
Checksmonks,
Mm-hmm.
because back in the day they weren't they didn't know how to spell, so they would pronounce it how it sounded, and over time things changed
Mm-hmm.
because they misspelled it, of course. And so we've got a whole bunch of family names that we all come down from the Elfwine tree, Aelfwine. That's one of the earliest of all baptismal names, which, although translated generally as noble friend in Anglo-Saxon, there are older translations showing the name also meaning elf or magical being, magical friend. So the word elf, ALF, means magical, elf, and wine means friend. But I was watching a few years ago a documentary on the Elohim, and I found out that the word in Anglo-Saxon, the word elf also means shining being, or in plural, shining ones.
Mm-hmm.
Shining ones is another term for like God
Mm-hmm.
or gods, and they're in the same boat as Elohim, the Nephilim, and and all from the
Right.
Anunnaki, let's say. So I thought, could it be like an ancient alien type of thing going on?
Mm. Could be.
So
It sounds like it.
yeah, so that could be like a corroborating factor why I'm having these experiences, that they do tend to follow bloodlines. But yeah, I found that out, like, and I was like pretty amazed, like, wow, knowing that, okay, the families histories as the families was an important one. Then we find out the nobles. Then you trace it back to it goes back to like the Roman era, and they were friends with God. So that was pretty crazy. So during the time I was with my fiance, we were invited to a special C5 meeting north of Montreal in the mountains, and someone that worked alongside David Jacobs was there, a police, a researcher, and other people, plus myself and my fiance. And we did FC5, and at around 11:11, well, nothing happened. But until we say, oh, wouldn't that be fun if at 11:11 a UFO would show up? And so a bit close to that time, we totally forget about that. And then on, because the guy's house was on the top of a mountain, so we saw the entire horizon pretty good. And the plane lines were like let's say north south, and it was coming there. We saw like a light on the horizon. Let's say westerly, and was coming towards us within a minute. It was just above us, way faster than the plane, and three dots in a
Mhm.
triangle formation and a big round red circle in the center.
Mm.
But the thing is, for a while, the thing is, during that time, we were hearing afterburners, and all of us said, "Whoa, that's not like a commercial airplane jet. These were military." And when I shared this story with an English experiencer, and he said, "Well, probably the but we thought it was a TR-3B, but probably they were being that triangle UFO was being followed by jet planes, but we could see them because we hear, of course, the sound first
Right.
or whatever." So that was my first time seeing a triangle UFO. Um, so my fiance eventually had to go back to the UK. That's when I like that year. You know, the company I worked for went broke. I had to sell my house. So she went back to the UK, and I didn't know that she was giving me 6 months. If I didn't find anything within 6 months, she was gonna break up with me. And so in um, in March of 2015, at the end of March, I get an email saying that she's breaking up, and that totally devastated me. And because we've been through so much, we had all these experiences, things that I haven't even talked about because they're too personal. Um, and so that really, I was like suicidal. So okay, so she left me in the beginning of March. I wrote her emails throughout the entire month. Never got a response. At the end of March, I sent her one last email, and I cried out to the universe because I was alone. My dad was out, wanted to die, and because the girl was even prophesized. It was way too much. So I sent her an email at 6:38 p.m. Eastern time. So this is 5 hours later UK time. So she was asleep, and yeah. So I said like something like, "Thanks for the memories, like goodbye." And I cried out to the universe, why? And remember the female being in part one that I talked about,
Mhm.
the sort of angelic being. Um, so imagine this. So I cry. So you cry out to the universe. You see, after a month of not getting any response, emails, at 7:27 p.m., not less than an hour, she writes back after no response for a month of getting emails. And so this is like past midnight, let's say, close to midnight. And she responds, "Jan, what's wrong?" And I tell her the story. He says, "Well, I just got woken up by a voice saying, 'Wake up now.'" And she says later on in another email, because we corresponded for a few, and she says, "Jan, the voice was female and alien. It said to send protection now, and I'm glad you're okay. I'm just going to go and get myself a cup of tea." So we sort of patched things up thanks to that, and we talked on the phone a year later, which was about stuff I won't get into, but yeah.
Mhm.
So I tend to say to people, pray because they're listening. There's
Mhm.
always somebody listening, and yeah, so that female was able to patch things up and wake her up. How's that for
Wow.
a positive note? Yeah. Imagine that. Being woken up at the other side of the pond. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
to respond.
Prayers.
Um, so, I had on the just to talk about my bloodline, the elf wine. I had on a lady from Australia called Vanessa Vandervliet, and her grandfather's uh, surname is Elphick. It's slightly written differently than Elfwine, but the word Elphick, Elphick, the word elf is also written. Prior versions they're also written as ALF like mine. And the word fic, well, we sort of was able to translate it as worshipper of the elf king, or again, people that follow elf or whatever like the shining ones, let's say. So we I'd love to like be part of a research team just to try to get down to what it all means, because I have no idea, but uh, we're a species that has amnesia. We don't remember anything like prior to the deluge. So imagine what we could find out. That's amazing.
Hmm.
Uh, so so now nothing happened after my heart surgery in January of 2016. Things sort of started to die off a lot experience wise. So imagine uh, being single and having these experiences sort of helped me cope with everything. And, with my heart surgery, being single, losing my house, my job, my mom, having to help my dad. I had it rough, and so having these experiences come to me, to some it might freak them out, but to me it felt like somebody's was watching over me, or at least was interested in me. And after that, it started dying down, and it was really sad. So there's always I tend to say to people, there's a sort of 7-8 year wave. You ride it, and then it drops for a few years, then it comes back. So I'm sort of like in the wave that's coming back. But uh, in fall of 2016, uh, it, well, I think in August, or like I took part in the Experiencer Speak, where I was my I was the opening speaker for that conference. And I think when it came back, um, my dad was out hunting with his girlfriend. So he had a bow, and he was out hunting moose. And during that night, when he was over there, I wake up and I hear in my while I was sleeping, I hear my dad's voice call out my name fairly loud. I never dream about my dad, but he was calling out my name. He only said it once. It was so loud that it woke me up. Remember when I dreamt? I wasn't dreaming. Remember when I had the vision about my brother before I found out a week later that he was in the hospital.
Hmm.
Well, this time, now I hear my dad's voice call out to me. Now I panicked, and I thought to myself, okay, well, he's with his girlfriend, so I'm good. So I fall back asleep, and I wake up at around 7 nothing, 8 nothing, 9 nothing. At 10 a.m., I get a call from his girlfriend she's saying, Yanni, do you wanna your dad just called me on the phone and he's lost in the woods. I thought, whoa, my dad's a huntsman and a woodsman. That's not possible. He knows the area. He was born in that neck of the woods where he's hunting. I thought, okay, that's weird. And then we eventually hang up. I thought, okay, well, something's off. So I put on my clothes, and I didn't know exactly where he was, but I started driving down as soon as I was able to, and I drove down fast. And so he was about an hour and a half drives away. So maybe 20 minutes in, my dad calls up on the phone, and he looked a bit panicky. Long story short, as soon as I got to the camp, I lost my muffler along the way. That's how fast I was driving. And the thing is, he came face to face with a moose. So he had a bow. He tried to shoot it. It sort of it hit his side, and it sort of well, it didn't kill it, but it did hurt it. So it ran right past him. So he takes up another arrow, spins around. One of the arrows in his arrow sack falls onto the floor into the moss. But the tail was sticking in the moss, but the head was pointing upwards. As soon as he spun around, the arrow went right through his calf, through his leather boots, through his calf on either side. And those things are hella sharp. So the reason why he was panicky is because he had an arrow through his leg and he was losing lots of blood. He was able to come back to the camp, and the idiot removed the arrow. He could have died, but no major arteries were touched. And I was there to bring him back to the hospital, and I drove fast. So yeah, the universe sort of called out to me, or I don't know what happened, but it was to save my dad. So yeah, for like 2 years after that, nothing happened. I found a new job in 2017. Things started getting good. The money was good. I started building up my life. Um, a year, I think, maybe in 2017, I meet an experiencer, and through another experiencer friend, and we talk. So we talked like here and there for about a year, and eventually she asks me out. So I drive, and she's an experiencer as well. And I drive down 5 hours to where she is, north of Montreal, and so we were meeting for breakfast the day after. So I'm at the hotel. She's at her parents' house, and I fall asleep. I always sleep on my back because of the heart surgery. And but this time I realize I'm conscious. My eyes are closed. I can't move, but I'm calm. I'm on my stomach, and I feel light hands on either side of my body, on my stomach area, well, or the rib cage, a bit lower than that. Very light touch, and I'm being moved on the bed, like that, left to right, left to right. I don't feel the bed underneath me, but I'm being moved. And I thought to myself, "Oh my God, am I being abducted?" I'm conscious because I tend to get to be conscious when things happen. You know, the shadow people, and all that. But so with my mind, I was suspecting Grays. So with my mind, I send out love with my mind and to tell them, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was expecting verbal talk telepathically, but with my ears, I'm hearing high pitched shrieks like banshee shrieks, like ah, like oh my God, he's awake, ah, very high pitched, very like a banshee, which you hear in movies. And I thought, whoa, that's no Gray. What the hell? So I send them love again, and I hear another shriek. And so all the while I'm being moved on the bed, and I suspect I was in between the bed and the wall of the hotel bedroom, and I feel I'm being pushed towards the bed head, and then I go up, and that's when I black out. Not sure if I got into this story last time, but um, we she did wake up. The next day, I found out that she had the same experience, but long story short, she heard 3 banshee shrieks. So that was something.
I've heard of Banshee, so
Yeah, she heard banshee shrieks as well.
it's
Oh yeah, I did talk about that one, but yeah, it all comes down to like ETs maybe putting us together as a couple. So that that's a common theme too. Um, I had on a couple that they met on a craft and they became friends, and they're elderly now, and they found each other later on. Yeah, the Hewins, Debbie Hewins, Audrey Hewins, and Matt Moniz, the Starburn twins and Matt, they met each other on board a craft, and they found each other in the bar on the East Coast. So yeah, so thanks to them. Well, thanks to Audrey, I met the sister and Matt, so we're all good friends. Now this happened a few years ago. We we sometimes we put things off as dreams, but hear me out. Uh, so I realize I'm beside a young boy. I get the feeling that I know him. Either he's my son or brother or we're family somehow. And the young boy's showing me how to project energy through my fingers. So with some effort, I'm able to project maybe an inch of a small beam of light out of my 4 fingers and thumb. I'm like, all right, I'm super happy. I'm being trained and I can do this. I'm a human. What I can do this. And he starts laughing at me and he shows what he can do. And he's got these sort of lightsabers coming out of his fingers. Like he's just a boy and I'm an adult and he's laughing at me because I was a dork. So yeah, and I shared this story online, and Susie Hansen, the contactee researcher, said that she got trained in, and she went through the same training. Let's say, so I got corroboration that that's also a thing on the.
I could collaborate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had that too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It helps in Reiki.
So yeah, I used to do Reiki, but really thanks to my fiance, we did that. But we would do like energy healings on people. Um, as soon as we used pendulums, as soon as we got to areas that had disturbance, the pendulum would drop. Areas where there's a lots of energy flow in certain chakras, the pendulum would like show how strong it was. So also, what happened? My mother-in-law, once my girlfriend moved in with me, uh, the my girlfriend's bedroom was, well, nobody was in there sleeping, so and it was in the basement. So days that they didn't have air conditioning,
Mm-hmm.
so during hot summer days, she would go downstairs, sleep in my girlfriend's bedroom, and from that moment on, her mom started having visitations. It started off with weird dreams about grays. She would get, I think, body taps, stuff like that. And she last year she came over to visit,
Mm-hmm.
and we hadn't changed the mattress in the guest bedroom, so I was afraid for their back. So I told them, "Well, go sleep in mine. The mattress is new." Uh, so during that night, let's say, at least I wake, I dream. So I'm getting these sort of flash images. Like imagine being at a rave, the strobe lights.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 second you see during the one of the flashes you see everybody. As soon as then it flashes off and it's all dark. So what I'm
Right.
seeing like in that sort of environment is so imagine like a tall gray put his hand over your face, his hand over your face, but I'm only seeing three pencil skinny fingers, very long, uh, dolphin gray skin, and the fingernails were slightly pointy, not
Mm-hmm.
roundish like ours, but
Right.
slightly pointy. I only saw three very long fingers, and I wake up remembering that, and I tell my girlfriend. So we get up. Mother-in-law wakes up not too long after and says, "Hey, something happened last night. I felt somebody move beside me, and I I reach out and I grab an arm, and she hold it tight, and she blacked out. During the same night, I'm seeing these three like gray, tall gray, skinny fingers over my face. So what happened? I have no idea. So yeah,
I could just imagine.
yeah, I don't know what happened. A lot of us don't know what's going on, and that's what really pisses me off. I like to be like a participant. I like to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be part of the change. I'd be like a student of healing because I love everything. I love herbology,
Mm-hmm.
knowing how the body works, real medicine, not Western medicine.
Right.
Yeah, toxic. Yeah, it's way too toxic. But yeah, so I've been through other stuff regarding that straw light uh, experience. One time, I was having this really had gallbladder pain, but I didn't know it was gallbladder because it was really located in the center. I thought it was stomach. I always had like stomach problems, and even though the gallbladder is on close to the liver, it could radiate up until the in the stomach area. But I didn't know it was related to that. But one time I had a lot of pain, and I cried out to the universe like, "Please help me." And I'm seeing again this straw type of effect in my mind. What I'm seeing is the face of a gray, but like an elder gray. The entire I felt female energy coming from that being. I didn't see its gender, only saw the face. The face was so wrinkled. And I had other people on that they're elder, they're very old, gray, they're wrinkled. And so imagine like an old prune or like a dried raisin. That's how wrinkled she was. And she had three fingers like over my chest scanning me. And it's as if I I was out of body, and she was scanning my body, but I was able to move around my consciousness was able to move around and look at the back of her head. And again, I saw hair, not on top, just at the back. But hers was kept and all like positioned like a Celtic interlace.
Okay.
So she had like neatly tucked hair and as a design.
Mm.
While the Dr. Gray I saw had unkept hair, and he was probably male. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. I've been interviewing people for the past 5 years, and can't make every experience has some form, or at least every experiencer has something that could be connected to others, but also his experience or her experiences are different. Also, it's
Yes.
so complicated. So when I hear people saying that they've got they know what's going on, they're in contact, and they're spouting names, I cry out bullshit. I cry out bullshit. But yeah,
Mm.
so not sure what you think about that so far.
Well, the experiences, for example, of meeting in a ship, I like I had stated, I think it was in your interview of me, where I did meet somebody who I was kind of assigned to make sure that she was calm while she was getting her healing treatments. Um, and then we met in person. We had met through Facebook and then in person, and she confirmed it that she remembered and she acknowledged that. But the funny thing is, I know some names only because I channel. So when I channel, I'd say to them, okay, I just want, if I want to speak to you, I need to figure out how to call you particularly. So that's how I get the names. The experiences that we each have, and this is just my interpretation or my point of view, is that they want us to remember something, but then they're doing so much healing, and most of us, that they also don't want to make us remember the trauma that we went through to get that healing. Some for a human mind, it's very fearful to see this huge person in front of you, or this huge being, skinny, long fingers, long fingernails, the whole thing. That could really set the human mind off a little bit and the nervous system off a little bit. It's not, we're not exactly physically made to fully understand how each one of them looks so different than us. So that's why I think that they're now coming to show themselves more and more, so they can slowly get us to realize, yes, we all don't have to look the same. And that's why I believe some of the children, the hybrid children that can stand this density, are here. So you may see people that look, wow, you look at them and you're like, I could swear that's part of gray there somewhere, because like you could see the eyes, the mouth is different. So um that's just my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think that it's part of the plan to get us to understand that not everybody looks the same, not everybody acts the same, and be able to heal us at the same time. But and I think they show us in a dream because we think we're dreaming, but we're really conscious, and that's why there's more visitations at night than there are during the day.
True. Also, it protects them. Oh,
Correct.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us might do stuff that we might regret or not, but yeah. Um, so yeah, my experiences still continue to this day, but they're at a much slower pace.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like this year, well, yeah, we just switched gears, but last year, let's say, I started get up until my mom's death anniversary, I started getting body taps at night.
Mm-hmm.
So I suspect that was my mom. And once her death anniversary came, it
Mm-hmm.
stopped.
Mm.
So yeah, so thank you, Mom, if you did. So yeah, things. I've been busy with my channel, so I've been doing this for 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
136 interviews so far. Did one today, and yeah, I'd love to share with one of my favorite stories. A friend of mine, personal friend of mine, it's called Steve Boucher, who's I think he's on his deathbed
Mm.
nowadays, but love the guy. So yeah, that's why I wanted to share his story. Dave's a musician. He plays
Mhm.
this weird type of flute. Back in the 70s, he had a band, and he would do the whole bar scene. And after a gig, let's say, I think he was going on to the next gig. So he had a van. Everybody was in the van, and they were driving to, let's say, this other place. They pitch up. They pick up a hitchhiker,
Mhm.
and eventually they come up to what they thought was like a police car in the middle of the road up ahead.
Mm.
They start slowing down. When it got to it, fairly close, they realize it's a UFO with multicolored lights.
Mm.
So they start panicking, and they try to turn around. The brake's not working. The gas pedal's not working. They were floating, and they were brought up to the craft. Everybody's panicky, right? And so they they see. So you got these sort of windows on either side of the van,
Right.
and so imagine seeing the top part of of a gray go like right beside the truck, the van, right?
Okay.
Go past the window. So everybody's panicking. Like everybody takes like an instrument or whatever was close to them as a weapon, and they say, "No one open the door." The guy closest to the van door at the back opens up the door. It was being controlled telepathically.
Mm.
The door opens to my friend Steve and everybody in the van, and there's a gray at the bottom of the van. The gray says telepathically, "I need 3 volunteers." And so everybody turns around. No one responds. So the gray starts picking people. He says,
Mm.
you. And he starts looking at my friend Steve. Steve eventually looks up. You. So they get out. And so they form a line. The, uh, the gray says, so they're walking up to the UFO and they're going up, let's say, this ramp. The, uh, the gray says, no one, everybody look towards the ramp or like directly in front. Don't look to the side. My friend Steve looks to the side. Everybody stops, like all at the same time. Like everybody was controlled. My friend Steve, okay, he directs his attention to the front. They start continue walking again. So they go up the ramp. The gray says no one to touch the UFO. My friend Steve touches it. It's the side of the door. And from that moment on, he had a wart grow on his finger that took over a year to get rid of.
Oh.
So inside the UFO, they all had an exam except one of the guys who disagreed to pass to do the exam.
Mhm.
So my friend Steve had to watch this sort of wheel that with different colors that put you to sleep, like
Mhm.
sort of hypnotize you. So
Mhm.
he had to look at that. But before that, he was shown medical instruments, a small scanner. So imagine looking at a small iPad, whatever,
Right.
and which scanned his body, and he saw the veins, the muscles, different layers.
Mm.
So yeah, Susie Hansen saw the same thing. So she had corroboration that it's really cool having these events where people corroborate tests
Yes.
that they saw on board craft, and the government doesn't like that because now they're sort of head rolling these things that experiencers saw way before they're out. Now
Mhm.
they've got these sort of scanners that show veins a bit.
Mhm.
So again, where do you think this technology comes from? They're just
Exactly.
rolling it out slowly.
Mhm.
So he got an exam. He blacked out. He woke up. He had to put his clothes on. So they're about to being dropped off, and Steve sees this what you call it, like a drawer, and starts wibbling,
Curiosity
yeah,
trip.
curiosity opens the drawer, and he was able to like break the knob off. He puts it in his pants, in his pocket.
Mm,
So they're about to leave, and still having this object in the pocket. Yeah, the gray sort of scans him. Says, "Hey, is there something in your pocket? Like, take it out, take it out." So he removes it, and he has this knob from the UFO. And one of the other grays says, "Why don't you leave it? Just keep it." He could keep it, but the other gray said, "No, no, they're not supposed to." So he had to take it from him.
mm,
And so yeah, they were brought home. He eventually was able to find the hitchhiker that got taken too.
okay.
Yeah, and he also one time, as a kid, with his dad, and just a few hours north of Toronto, and I found out that his dad used to live an hour away from my parents. So I
Wow.
thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, he was with his dad on a road, and they saw like a UFO fly overhead, and whichever eventually the UFO dropped down in front of them.
Mm,
Two grays, I think they were wearing your uniforms, like blue uniforms. They come up to him and knock on the window. So dad, lowers it, and we'd like to give you a tour of the ship. So reluctantly, he agreed. So his dad got up, was brought on board the craft. Steve, being like a few years old, he one of the other Greys went inside his car and acted as a like somebody just to keep him safe there,
right.
a babysitter of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
So the babysitter was asking Steve a whole bunch of like weird questions, like, "What does this do? What does this do?" "Well, this is a radio, and what does that radio do?" Well, so he starts explaining stuff, and so eventually, after a while, his dad comes back, sort of paranoid, right?
Uh-huh.
And so he hops back into the car, and they leave. Okay. So the UFO flies up, and eventually the UFO comes back. So they stop the car. The Grace comes back and starts tapping on the
Oh.
window. Lowers the window. "You forgot these." He hands his dad his glasses that he forgot on board the craft. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot something. During Steve's first abduction, he had his flute with him again.
Mm-hmm.
And the Gray asks him, "What's it for?" So he starts playing with his mouth. And he says, "Can I try it?" So the Gray takes it. Instead of putting it to his mouth, he puts it to his nostrils.
Ooh.
Because they don't speak with it. They don't
Right.
use their mouth. I think it's like a pocket, but they don't use it for anything anymore.
Right.
So with his nostrils, he was able to play the flute.
Mm.
Imagine that. Another experience that happened to him was years later. He was after a gig. I think he was expecting a lot of people, and almost no one showed up. So they closed the bar. He comes out. So he gets out of the bar, and he sees a whole bunch of people in line. People that were supposed to attend the party.
Mm-hmm.
They were all in line, and I think that was in Toronto, and they were all being directed to, and they were all in zombie, all in formation, all in a line, zombie mode. And they were being brought back into a craft. And the Gray, Steve, having seen Grays before, they go up to him. "Hey, what's wrong? Hey, you're not. Hey, go back in the line. You're supposed to be in formation." And well, he eventually left. But yeah, so abductions happen everywhere. It's just that you're
Yeah.
not really aware of what's
Exactly.
going on.
And a lot of the times it's because they either want some knowledge or they give us some healing. I believe it all depends. They want the knowledge just to see how our body works, so then they could create some type of a healing modality. Um, you know, um, unfortunately, they're still probably wondering how we can breathe. Let's face it.
Yeah, they're studying their our emotional aspect too,
Hmm.
because they do they don't have emotion. Well, they do, but
Not the same way we do.
yeah, no, not the same.
We're a mess.
Yeah.
They're they're more managed.
So I had a whole bunch of people that had reptilian experiences, mantid experiences. Rob Fullington, and their my first show ever was really thanks to Susie Hansen. God bless her. I had Susie on, Judy Carroll. Again, I called it my first show, Ladies of the Greys.
Nice.
Uh, and so I had like three experts, let's say, regarding Greys. So I had Sherry Wild,
Mhm.
yeah, Susie, and Judy Carroll. Susie, yeah, she's from New Zealand, and Judy from Australia. So that really sort of got me going. And I had my ups and downs, but I don't want to. It's really thanks to her, so I'm sort of honoring
Mm.
her willingness to come on board, and everybody else. So I had a man who had an avian guide way before
Mm.
Corey Good started talking about avians. So
Wow.
that was interesting having him on, and so on and so forth. People seeing their hybrid children, not holding them, not be able to bring them back,
Hmm.
crying.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's hard for some. I know some were shocked,
Hmm.
seeing something different from an adult perspective, looking at a
Right.
child,
Right.
not human. It's something to some. Also, a lot of I had a few that explained that again, our human bodies wasn't really meant for space travel, and according, it depends on the craft, but these individuals had to be transported in tubes filled with liquids,
Hmm.
heavy, dense liquids, a bit like when you're in the womb.
Hmm.
Expect. So yeah, it's been a fascinating journey so far. So I'm sort
That's,
of blessed that I'm able to still find people willing to come on board, and it's a lot of work, like you probably know.
mhm.
But each time I do these interviews, I'm learning more, and I'm making new friends, and I'm hoping the Greys out there they're seeing what I do and
Mhm.
liking what I do. Well, one time, a researcher told me a good friend of mine. She dreamt. Well, she's a contactee too, but she dreamt
Mhm.
that we were in an auditorium, her and I, and we were watching a Grey do a talk about current times right now,
Mm.
how to deal with it. So I cried when I found that out.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
also,
I've seen a lot of classrooms too.
yeah,
Yeah. I call it classroom because what else?
I'm
They,
doing a part three with the Jeff Selver. I think he's like the biggest contactee in Canada.
mm.
I got his book. He has two out, but such an amazing guy, an amazing speaker, and his story is amazing. What I'm about to say is it might be shocking for some, but we've we heard this throughout the years that there's going to be a lot of upheaval,
Mhm.
either civil or natural. Let's say
Mhm.
the U.S. won't exist as we know it,
Mhm.
but the states will be. It's just that it's going to be fractured. It's just that the United States of America won't be like it is right now.
Mhm.
I suspect with all nations also. But the Greys want at a certain time they want to implement or insert into like Northern America. They want to create a city, an enlightened city of hybrids
Mm.
with alien tech, and those with higher consciousness will be able to go to that city and interact with them and the technology. So
Mhm.
through that city, we're going to blend in eventually with more hybrids, and that's good at the. So we're gonna have a sort of a genetic upgrade
Right.
slowly, thanks to them, and at the same time change how we see. So when Daryl Anka or Bashar, let's say, talk about
Hmm.
disclosures, they're gonna start
Right.
with the Pleiadians since they look like us, and then
Hmm.
generally slowly integrate other species. Well,
Right.
that could be part of that also. So we Trump's still going to be the president, the next president, and we're going to have a lot more. It won't. And I'm not sure it's going to be in our lifetime that the city's going to exist, but
Right.
yeah, it's going to happen. I've heard it by others, and good times though. Still,
We chose to come right now, right?
yeah,
So
we got
we're
our work cut out for us,
we
and
got our work cut out.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you. Is there any last words that you want to give the audience?
Well, if everyone could check out my channel, YouTube
Yes.
channel, Experiencer Interviews.
Mm-hmm.
I do 2 or 3 interviews per month,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and each year at the end of the year, I do a Christmas special where everybody can log on and share their story with us in a private environment, let's say.
Very
So
good.
sometimes I do have guest speakers on, depending on how many come on, or because it lasts at least a good 4 hours. So
Mm.
yeah, it's a lot of fun, and each show, everybody, it's a premiere. Everybody logs on, and I'm in the chat room with everybody, and we have loads of fun. And so I'm very blessed for everyone that does take the time every weekend, because I do premiere at 5 p.m. EST each Sunday. So I do have my little groupie, so love them all, and just hoping that my channel could reach out a bit more to other experiencers and to non-experiencers as well. So love you
And
all.
all your contact information will be in the description so they could find you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for sharing your stories and um, your experiences, really. I shouldn't say just say stories, but your experiences and how they have changed and have gotten greater as time went by. It's amazing. It's amazing. So thank you to everyone, and we're gonna say good night. And as always, we send love, we send peace, and we send bye.